so glad to be back here. I'm Mary from Mountain View.
And I'm Abby. I'm part of SLT at Mountain View.
Awesome.
We want you guys to know that wherever you are, whoever you are welcome here, because at Menlo Students, we believe that nobody's perfect, but everyone is welcome.
Absolutely, and I love that motto. Abby, we've been on Zoom for a while. Some of us are tired of it, but, some of us have adapted. And I don't know about you in school, but, for me in meetings, sometimes my cursor while I'm on Zoom, it kind of wanders over to Amazon, and I start to browse a bit, right? You know what that's like. So I found some pretty cool stuff on Amazon, and tonight we've invited some friends, a friend from each campus, to tell us what they have found on Amazon lately. So we're going to welcome 5 wonderful friends here on Zoom over on our back wall. Whoa, there they are. Awesome. Okay, we're going to shout out your campus, and you're going to tell us your name. All right, go ahead.
All right, okay, Saratoga, introduce yourself.
I'm Joyce.
All right, yeah, Joyce.
Okay, Mountain View.
Hi, I'm Zach.
Yeah, Zach.
And San Jose.
Hey, I'm Diego.
Yeah, Diego.
Menlo Park.
Hi, I'm Annette.
Hey, Annette. All right, and we've got San Jose we didn't call out, right? Is that who we missed?
San Mateo.
Oh, how could we miss?
I'm
San
Abraham.
Mateo. Say it again.
Abraham.
Abraham. All right, Abraham from San Mateo. Okay, this is how we're going to do it here, you guys. You're going to show us your product. As we shout you out, you're going to show us your product, and you have 20 seconds to sell us on your product. And as you tell us all about this great product you found on Amazon, Abigail here is going to be in the chat. And all of you beautiful people watching us out there on YouTube are going to write in the chat, here for it if you love this product, if you're here for it, or hard pass if you do not like this product. And we're gonna let you guys know, do the majority of Menlo students online tonight, are they here for your product or are they hard pass, okay? So we are gonna start with the lovely San Mateo Abraham, because he was last introduced. So are you ready, Abraham? All right, I've got your countdown and you can begin. Tell us what your product is.
We all know what the biggest problem of 2020 was. Making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Absolutely.
But who has the time? Cooking, cleaning. But what if you didn't have to do that stuff?
You got 8
The
seconds.
Peanut butter and jelly of the month club.
Whoa.
Only $500 a year.
Oh my
Once
gosh.
a month, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich delivered to your house.
That's
only $40
amazing.
a sandwich.
That's amazing.
Sign up now.
All
Sign
right,
up now for
Abraham.
peanut butter and jelly of the month club.
All right, let's see how he did. What do you think? Is it mostly here for it or hard pass? I'm gonna vote here for it. I love PBJs. I could eat them for $500. That's a steal.
I would definitely choose here for it. It looks
where are
like
we at?
we have a mix of results.
Mix of results. 50-50, huh?
They're starting to
All
come in.
right. Okay. Oh, not everybody has
Ooh, we
good
have
taste.
we have some here for
We
it.
got some here for it. So you think it's leaning here for it?
And a few hard passes too.
Interesting. We probably have some peanut allergies. All right. Good job, Abraham. We are super impressed
Awesome.
with your PBJ of the month. Let's go to Diego. We got Diego. Remind us which campus you're at, Diego.
San Jose campus.
All right. Go
Awesome.
for it. Show us your product. You got 20 seconds to sell us. In the chat, be writing, be voting. Give us those answers. Are you here for it or hard pass? Go for it.
The next time you make your parents mad, because you will, instead of going to your room mad, you will, because you know burritos are their favorite food, wrap yourself in a burrito blanket and come out and say sorry like a little puppy. And because you are in a burrito, you are now become their favorite child.
Oh, yeah. I love burritos. That's right. Vote for your burrito blanket, guys. That was awesome. That was within 20 seconds. What do we got? We must have people that want to look like an adorable burrito, want to get everything they want from their parents.
So far, I'm only seeing here for it.
Whoa,
so
okay.
definitely
It's a big
a hit
sell
here.
among Menlo students. I think that we all like burritos, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we all want our parents to cherish us like they do a burrito. That's awesome. Okay, good job, Diego. We are
Awesome.
mostly here for it, I think. All right, let's go down to Zach. Mountain View Zach, what you got for us? We
I
have...
I have chosen lightsaber chopsticks.
Oh, yes. Wow. All right. Tell us about your lightsaber chopsticks. Why should we be here for it right now?
You know, sometimes you're eating your meal and you're just, you're using your utensils and you feel like, this is so boring. Like, I could be doing such interesting things right now. And then you realize that you could have lightsaber chopsticks.
You could have had lightsaber
chopsticks exist. How could you possibly use another pair of chopsticks without remembering the existence of lightsaber chopsticks and how beautiful they are?
You can't. I'll never be satisfied with my little wooden chopsticks again. Thank you, Zach. And if I need noodles, if I need to like chop them fast, how am I going to do that with regular chopsticks? So I don't know. What do you say, Abigail? How are we doing?
This is also mostly here for it, but now I'm starting to see some hard passes.
Starting to see some. Well, I guess I ruined your pitch, Zach. But we had mixed reviews. Interesting. Some people do not want to be awesome at dinner. I don't know what happened. So let's go down to Joyce. Joyce, what you got for us?
Are you a hoarder? Like, do you fill the never-ending hole in your heart with random items?
Yes.
Is it hard for you to get rid of your excess stuff? Well, curb your shopping cravings with something I have right next to me. Nothing. Replace all your other expenses with nothing for the small price of $10.
Interesting. So I could have less in my life to worry about if I just had nothing. I love this. What do you say, Abigail? Minimalists? Do we have a lot at Menlo? People who want to give it all up?
We have a mix. A lot of here for it's actually coming in.
Okay, we're leaning here for it. Okay,
awesome.
we like that minimalist lifestyle of nothing. I love it. All right, and we've got our last person down there, Menlo Park, right? Can you introduce your name again? You've got a tiny name.
Hi, I'm Annette.
Annette, all right, Menlo Park Annette. What you got for us?
So we all have potato chips and we all have French fries, but what makes those things are potatoes. And what if you guys had your friend's face on a potato? That would just be incredible. So with this thing on Amazon, you can put your friend's face, your grandma's face, maybe even your teacher's. I would not advise that, but you can do that. So this is my potato face for $18.99 on Amazon.
Okay, I am totally here for this. The potato is the most diverse food you can find. And if you want to show some love, you would absolutely add your friend's face to potato, right? Does Menlo Students agree with me?
Well, I agree with you, but
thank you,
Menlo Students so far is saying a little bit more pass than here for it.
You guys are crazy. You're crazy. It's your face on a potato. It's genius. Okay, well, let's just give and we've got a potato up there too on our Zoom call. Oh, there it is. All right, yeah. See, there's nothing better than a potato face. I just want to thank our Menlo students from every campus. Let's just give them a round of applause wherever you're at. I am so glad you've joined us. This was really fun. I'm about to blow a lot of money on potatoes and nothings and blankets, and it's going to be great. I love being here for this, Abigail. I love the games, and I especially love to worship every Wednesday with you guys online at Menlo Students.
I love to worship too, and if you love to worship and are also interested in leading, you can text this number, text worship to that number, and you can join the band.
That's right. That is awesome. And we also hope you'll come back next week because we're starting a series called Awkward. Guess what this series is about? Dating and relationships and your teenage years. And so we have named it Awkward. So I am looking forward to exploring all that means, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. So right now we're going to hear our passage for this week from our own Ethan Lowe. So let's turn it over to Ethan.
The apostles gathered around Jesus and reported to him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. But many who saw them leaving recognized them and ran on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. By this time it was late in the day, so his disciples came to him. "This is a remote place," they said, "and it's already very late. Send the people away so that they can go to the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat." But he answered, "You give them something to eat." They said to him, "That would take more than half a year's wages. Are we to go and spend that much on bread and give it to them to eat?" "How many loaves do you have?" he asked. "Go and see." When they found out, they said, "5, and 2 fish." Then Jesus directed them to have all the people sit down in groups and on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of hundreds and fifties. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to his disciples to distribute to the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them all. They all ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces of bread and fish. The number of the men who had eaten was 5,000.
All right, what's up, Menlo Students? My name is Brian. If we haven't met before, I'm a resident at our Saratoga campus. And for the past 4 weeks, we've been in this series called Faith in an Anxious World. Question for you to just start things off. Have you ever been asked to do something that you just didn't feel qualified for? Maybe you were nervous, maybe you were anxious. If you're like me, then you want things to be perfect. Over the past few weeks, we've been talking about anxiety, guys. We've been talking about how Jesus wants to be in that, and Jesus cares deeply about it. In our previous session, we read the story of Jesus healing these 2 people, and you might remember that the crowd there was super busy. Where in contrast, in this week, the crowd really knew how to stop in their tracks. They cared about nothing. All they wanted to care about was just Jesus and what he had to say. They didn't even care about what they were going to eat that day. Meanwhile, the disciples at the beginning of this story, they were tired and they were hungry. Question, have you ever started a chore, school project, a school day for that matter, and you didn't eat and you were tired? It's a bad combination. I call that getting hangry. It's a real word. Put in the chat if that's ever been you, if you've ever been hangry before. And just imagine how how the disciples were feeling at the end of the story. They were probably about ready to fall apart. But let's look back at verse 37. Jesus says, "You give them something to eat." He's talking to the disciples right here. He says, "You give them something to eat." All 5,000 people, Jesus is going to use these imperfect, hangry disciples to be a part of this miracle. Question for you. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 obviously being the highest, put in the chat, how anxious do you think the disciples were feeling at that moment? If you had been there with this large, hungry crowd, and Jesus is asking you to feed them, how anxious do you think that they were feeling at that moment? And where would you be on that scale? Think of a time in your life where that's been you. I know a few weeks ago, I was in the students meeting and with the whole team, we're talking about, this Faith in an Anxious World series. And they said, "Hey, Brian, you're going to teach this message today." And honestly, I got pretty excited, but I got anxious. You guys, I got anxious because I'm thinking to myself, well, I haven't spoken in a while, and what if I mess up? Is there any redos? There's obviously not because we're live. That's a silly example, but in all seriousness, at that moment, I was a little anxious. Let's go back to our story. Notice that Jesus doesn't give this big job to do and walk away. Notice how he doesn't do that job, though, either. What Jesus does do is he asks them, "How much bread do you have? Take a look." And it's after checking, they tell him how much they have. And it's sort of this miraculous thing here because Jesus already knows how much they have. He already knows how much they have, and yet it's for the disciples and for their own personal growth that they ask them to check the inventory with which they're going to feed these 5,000 hungry people with. And just notice how Jesus meets them where they're at. He asks them to do something that they didn't feel qualified for, they didn't feel equipped for, and he shows them that he will meet them where they are after feeling overwhelmed, and yet he will still work in and through them. Next thing you know, Jesus asks the crowd to sit sort of in the grass in groups of 50 and hundreds, and what he does next is basically the climax of the story. He takes the bread, takes the fish, looks up to heaven, he blesses it, gives it to the disciples to set before the people eat. Now, since you know the full story, question for you. Do you ever wonder, why didn't Jesus feed the crowd himself? Why didn't he just feed the crowd himself? He could have easily let the disciples at peace. He could have let the disciples sort of go on their own lunch break, if you will, so that way they weren't tired or hungry. And the ball could have landed in so many different areas. But the reality is, the ball didn't land in a different area. And friends, while we don't know for sure the exact very reason why Jesus didn't just feed the crowd himself, one reason why I think is because Jesus wanted his followers to see that they were a part of bringing his hope to this world. That Jesus was growing this circle of care whose purpose wasn't for their own well-being. And ultimately, this group of disciples was a part of bringing his hope to the world by showing others who Jesus is and his love for them. And it's sort of like in the very midst of their anxieties, their overthinking, their hunger, their hangriness, all that, even when they're tired, that Jesus meets them there and he allows them to pass God's power on. I'm going to invite the band back up here again. And as we do, I've got a question for you to ponder with right now. When has there been a time in your life, maybe the past few weeks, where you felt like you were in over your head? You felt like you couldn't pass God's power on. When has there been a time in your life where you couldn't pass God's power on? Maybe you're like the disciples. Maybe you were hungry. Maybe you were anxious with school or sports or what have you. Think of a time where this was you. And as we sing this song together, I just want to encourage you to invite Jesus into this.
Can't go back. Can't go back to the beginning. Is the place where you promised to be. Can't control what tomorrow will bring, but I know that you promised to me. You come, will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again? Meet me here again, Jesus. As I walk now through the valley, let your love rise above every fear, like the sun shaping the shadow. In my weakness, your glory appears. I'm not enough without your love. All I I'm not enough unless you come. Will you meet me here again? 'Cause all I want is all you are. Will you meet me here again?
All right, good stuff, good stuff. So let's remember what happened, okay? Let's remember the disciples. They're tired, they're hungry, and they're asked by Jesus to feed these 5,000 people. They're overwhelmed. They don't have enough money, they don't have enough food, and yet Jesus, he asked them to do this. It's interesting, though, as they give Jesus what they do have, and he takes care of the rest. At the end of the story, it says this: everyone ate until they were full. They filled 12 baskets with leftover pieces of bread and fish. About 5,000 had eaten. I mean, talk about going above and beyond. You guys, they had leftover pieces of bread and fish. Imagine that. At the beginning of the story, they're anxious about not having enough money or food, and at the end, they have leftovers. It just makes me wonder, like, how did the Jesus followers feel differently about their anxiety after that meal? Just makes me wonder. And if you were one of the disciples in this story, what expectations would you have about Jesus after seeing him go above and beyond your expectations? Maybe you're like me, and sometimes you think, man, God can't work in and through me. I just overthink it. You guys, I'm a perfectionist, okay? I'm calling it for what it is, and I tend to overthink, and I get anxious, and I think, there's no way God can use me. Maybe that's not you. Maybe you think, I'm not good enough in order for God to work in and through my life. But friends, got good news. That could not be any further from the truth. That could not be any further from the truth. On the contrary, catch this, in order to feed the crowd that day, Jesus didn't ask for perfection from his disciples. What he asked for was their trust. He didn't ask for perfection. What he asked for was their trust. Isn't that a relief? I know it is for me. It feels like this huge weight is just lifted off of my shoulders. Wherever you are, wherever you're watching this from, whenever you're watching this, God does not require perfection. And according to the story, he's not even asking for it. He's not even asking for it. So Menlo Students, across all of our campuses, he's asking for your trust. He's not asking for perfection. He's asking for your trust. He's asking for your trust. He's asking that you trust him with who you are, with all your strengths, all your weaknesses, to give it to him so that he can work in and through your life to do great things. As I was thinking about this story, I was kind of thinking about another story. I was thinking about Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Type in the chat if you love Star Wars too. And I was thinking about this scene from The Rise of Skywalker. And it's a scene where the main character, Rey, she goes to this island to be by herself. She's frustrated. She probably feels like she failed. And she wants to be away from everybody else. And one of the best Jedis ever, his name is Luke Skywalker, he confronts her and he kind of breathes life back into Rey. And he tells her one of the coolest lines. He tells her, Rey, you have everything you need. It's a really, really cool scene. He tells her, Rey, you have everything you need. And as I think about this story, or this scene from Star Wars, it just reminds me of how Jesus gives us everything we need. In the midst of our struggles, in the midst of our anxieties, our overthinking, our insecurities, Jesus gives us everything we need. And friends, I gotta tell you, I love how in this story, the disciples, they were empowered to do the work of Jesus. They were empowered to do the work of Jesus. They had everything that they needed. And because of that, there are a few takeaways that we can learn from this message. Number one, we are made to know God. Guys, when we're focused on listening to God, when we spend daily devotional time with God, when we're in prayer with God, the pressure to do everything perfectly doesn't matter so much. It just doesn't. What Jesus was asking for was their trust, not their perfection. I strongly encourage you guys to pick up a Bible and devotional. Here are mine. I put a little sticker on it, so I'm extra cool. Here's my devotional. You guys, I do this every morning, and what God is teaching me, ironically right now, I don't have to be perfect either. And I know that because I'm connected to God. So that's number one. We are made to know God. Number two, we are made to be connected with others. If you notice, it was the way the disciples worked together in the story that enabled them to offer help and to offer hope to those around them. As a church, we know we're at our strongest. We know we're at our strongest. We know we're at our best when we're connected with others. And many of you know this and experience this every week in your life groups. And that's great. And you understand how powerful it is to be in community. Notice how when the disciples, they worked together, they were empowered to do this because they were connected with God and they were connected with others. And number three, give what you have. Give what you have. I think oftentimes we sell ourselves short and we sort of think, I don't have enough to give to God, therefore I won't give anything at all. In this story, the disciples gave Jesus their insecurities, their anxiety, their overthinking, their tiredness, their hunger. But what Jesus is asking for is to give him what you do have. Give him what you do have, and he'll take care of the rest. Give him what you do have, and he'll take care of the rest. You guys, this month, we've been talking for 4 whole weeks. Good job, guys. For 4 whole weeks, we've been talking about anxiety, and we've heard stories ranging from Jesus calming a storm to Jesus giving his disciples fishing advice, to which they listen and they catch a bunch of fish. Go figure. To Jesus healing a woman who had been sick for many years, to Jesus raising a dead girl, and now we're hearing that Jesus doesn't require perfection, but instead he wants our trust. He doesn't want our perfection, he wants our trust. And the reality is, Menlo students, these topics aren't easy. These topics are not easy, but the truth remains that no matter how big our anxiety is, God can still use you in this broken and anxious world that we do live in. He can still use you. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and pray as the band starts to warm up a little bit. Heavenly Father, God, I just thank you so much for giving us this faith, Lord, in this anxious world that we live in. Father, I pray right now for any student who may be thinking they had got to be perfect. Lord, I pray against that. As we learn here in this story, we understand, God, that you can use us. Father, I pray just anxiety is real. We know it is. We've been feeling it for the past year. We've been feeling it during this pandemic. And Lord, even amidst all of this, we give it to you. We thank you for working in us, in and through us. We thank you that we have connection to you and others through life groups, through Menlo Students, virtually on top of that. Lord, thank you. We lift this time up to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
leave the rest in the Father's hands. I will rest in the Father's hands. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. Oh, I will rest in the Father's hands. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. Oh, I will rest in the Father's hands. Oh, leave the rest in the Father's hands. I throw all my cares before you. My doubts and fears all scattered. You're bigger than I thought you. You're bigger than I know. I stop all negotiations. The God of all creation. You're bigger than I thought you. You're bigger than I thought. You're bigger than I thought you. You're bigger than I thought you
Well, man, what great words we just sang. And man, as we finish up this series tonight, I just want to encourage all of you where you are, no matter the situation, no matter the season, no matter the wall that you seem like you're just up against, God is with you and he loves you and his love will not let you go. It will not stop pursuing you. And so with that truth, we can have joy. And so we're going to raise the tempo a little bit and we'll sing, let's dance. Feel free to feel the groove. I'm gonna. So feel free to dance along. Come on. Come on. Hey. When night has fallen, when fear is coming, still you're calling me. Come on. When faith is lost and my feet exhausted, you will be my strength. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. I've decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. Season, you keep repeating all your promises to me. Hey! Now there's no stopping what you have started until it is complete. When my mind says I'm not good enough, but God, you're enough for me. Oh, I've decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. No, you won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. up on me. Your love is holding on, it won't let go. No, it won't. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on, it won't let go. I feel it breaking out, breaking out. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo. Your love is holding on, it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo, echo in my soul.
Oh man, that is the word that I definitely needed to hear tonight. God does not look for our perfection. He is not waiting for us to be perfect because He's perfect. He wants our trust. I love that, Abigail. I love it.
Yeah, so as we wrap up this series and you do your daily rewind, try and think about the times where you try to be perfect this past week and just give them all to God.
That's right. Maybe in your daily replay, you make a quick list. What are those things that you're holding on to with perfection? And turn it over to Him. But we're just gonna just hope that you have a great time in your life groups this week, and take a look for your life group code, your Zoom code, and we'll see you next week.